My beloved child, if you've pressed play on this video with your heart racing and your mind swirling in worry, pause for a moment. I want you to know you've landed in this very place, not by accident, but by a gentle nudge that your soul has long been waiting for. I see how your thoughts have become tangled in the cares of the day, and I sense the countless questions echoing in your heart. Is there truly a hope that lasts? Is there a place where I can finally breathe, safe from the storms raging around me? Hear my voice now, for I speak directly to that deep ache inside you, the one that yearns for true peace and rest. I know it's not easy. I see you navigating a world where headlines bombard your senses with fear and discouragement. Economies falter, relationships crumble, and unseen battles tear at your sense of worth. You carry so many burdens. Maybe it's a financial crisis that leaves you feeling powerless, or a family situation that robs you of sleep. Perhaps you've been wrestling with a quiet despair, afraid to admit to anyone that you're on the verge of giving up. My child, let this be the moment you realize I'm here to hold you. I'm here to remind you that you have never truly been alone, no matter how distant my presence may have felt. Listen closely, for I'm reaching into the chaos of your life to offer something the world cannot replicate, a divine assurance that transcends your fears. Yes, the struggles are real, and I do not pretend otherwise. The pain you feel is valid. The tears you shed are not wasted. Even now, my heart moves with compassion, and I lean in to whisper that you are seen, you are known, and you are cherished beyond your wildest imagination. Look around you and notice that in your greatest uncertainties, there has always been a glimmer of my guidance. An unexpected phone call, a moment of clarity, a friend offering a shoulder. None of these happened by chance. Your heart may ask, but why am I still afraid? Why do I still feel helpless when storms come crashing in? My beloved child, the tension you feel between hope and fear reveals a deeper longing for something or someone who is unshakable. And that is precisely why I speak to you so urgently now. You are not designed to journey alone through life's darkest valleys. You are made to know me, to lean on me, and to find in me a safety that defies every threat you face. When loneliness weighs on you like a heavy cloak, remember that my arms are always open, inviting you to step into a realm of comfort and rest you never thought possible. I see you searching for assurance in people's words, in fleeting distractions, or even in your own achievements. Yet the satisfaction they bring quickly fades. Come to me and let your heart be anchored in a promise that never fails. I do not offer empty words. I offer myself. When you feel like your world is caving in, know that I am the solid ground beneath your feet. When doubt hovers like an uninvited guest, I am the gentle voice that dispels every lie. Even the smallest act of faith, the tiniest flicker of belief, can open the door for my light to flood your darkness. If you wonder whether your past mistakes disqualify you, hear me clearly. My love doesn't keep score. I am not waiting for you to reach a certain level of perfection before I extend my hand. Even in your brokenness, even in your regrets, I stand ready to renew and restore. There is no circumstance too dire, no heart too wounded, no life too shattered that I cannot breathe hope into. The evidence of my work is woven throughout history. Look at how I've lifted others who felt insignificant and turned their stories into testimonies of transformation. I want to do the same for you. Imagine your heart as a battered sailboat on a storm-tossed sea. The waves threaten to capsize you, and you're frantically searching for a lighthouse. My voice calls out with unwavering clarity, beckoning you toward my harbor of peace. When you steer your ship toward my light, you'll discover that the storms lose their power to define you. Yes, the wind may still howl, but my presence stands unshaken. Let me be the anchor you've been yearning for. Let me silence the roar of anxiety that grips your mind at night. Allow me to cover you with a shield of love so encompassing that even your deepest fears must bow. In practical moments, when the bills are due and the bank account is empty, when a child's rebellious heart tears at your soul, when a medical report shatters the illusion of security, reach out to me. Whisper the simplest prayer, "Help me." My response may not always look the way you expect, but I promise it will be exactly what you need. Trust that I am orchestrating a plan greater than anything you could conceive, and my design always includes your ultimate good. I urge you, stay with me a moment longer. Don't click away seeking quick fixes or temporary thrills. Let my words settle into your spirit like seeds, ready to bear fruit. You see, I am stirring the soil of your heart, preparing it for a harvest of deeper faith, renewed hope, and a peace that will become your steady companion. When the world's noise becomes relentless, let my voice be the melody that calms every storm within you. Let this be the turning point where you decide to trust in my love more than you trust in your fears. My beloved child, I cherish this moment with you. I've drawn you here to assure you that you matter, that your life has purpose, and that your cries never go unnoticed. I speak these words, breathing new hope into you. Take courage, for you are held by the one who spoke galaxies into existence. Let your heart find rest in my unwavering promise to guide you, defend you, and walk with you through every valley and every triumph. Now is your time to embrace the truth that you are not alone, and you never will be. I am with you, always, ready to turn every whisper of doubt into a declaration of faith. My beloved child, I invite you to imagine yourself standing on sun-baked ground in ancient times, a place where thick fortress walls loom high against the horizon. In that world, these fortified cities and walled strongholds represented safety from invaders and the unpredictable elements of nature. When people were in danger, they would run to those fortified gates, seeking refuge behind the mighty walls that offered a chance at survival. This is the backdrop of the language you find in the sacred writings, where I am described as a fortress and a strong tower. Those words were never meant to be mere poetry. Rather, they symbolize a profound reality that still resonates today. When you feel threatened, weary, or overwhelmed, I become that impregnable fortress. Just as ancient travelers would rush to a city gate for shelter, so I welcome you to run into my arms and find rest. Perhaps you can picture those strongholds standing resolute against the desert wind, providing solace and relief from the relentless sun. In the same way, I am the unchanging shelter that stands firm in every circumstance you face. No matter how scorching life's trials become, you can step behind my walls of protection. In ages past, families journeyed for days to reach these sacred places of safety. They brought their children, their livestock, their valuables, clinging to the hope that the walls would outlast any enemy. Likewise, I call you to bring your concerns, your aspirations, and all that you hold dear under my care. Inside my fortress, you will find not just security, but also my comforting presence that soothes your fears and revives your spirit. That imagery is not confined to dusty history books. It's meant for your life right now. When these metaphors took shape, they weren't describing an abstract concept. They were painting a living portrait of my heart. I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. The stronghold I offer is more than physical walls. It is a spiritual haven where your soul can exhale and find release from anxiety. You might not be traveling through literal deserts, but your heart can feel just as parched. When you hear about me being a refuge, envision strength that holds you steady when everything else crumbles. In the ancient world, refuge meant survival. In your modern world, refuge in me means abundant life that supersedes any threat or fear. Even in this present age of technology and rapid change, my words about refuge remain solid ground under your feet. When you feel as though you have nowhere left to turn, I remind you that I am your sure place. Let your heart rest in the knowledge that my shelter is not a fragile tent subject to collapse in the wind. It is a fortress shaped by timeless love. You can trust that my nature will never shift, no matter how turbulent the world around you becomes. Simply put, what I was to people thousands of years ago, I still am to you in this very moment. A secure haven where your heart can find repose. I'm aware that calling me a refuge might raise a question in your mind. How can you be so sure and steadfast? Let me reveal a little more of who I am. I am love, pure, unwavering, unceasing love. Every motive of my heart toward you flows from this endless source of affection. My concern for you is not fleeting. It's woven into the fabric of my eternal character. In the fullness of time, my love compelled me to reach out and draw you close, making a way for you to experience my protection firsthand. You are not merely a face in a crowd. You are unique to me, and I cherish every moment we share. I am omnipotent. My power spans the farthest galaxies, and it also reaches into the smallest details of your life. What feels impossible to you is entirely within my capacity. When your strength falters or your resources run dry, remember that my reservoir of power never depletes. Instead, it overflows into your circumstances when you invite me to intervene. I do not watch you struggle from a distance. I step into your reality, bringing the might of heaven to defend and uplift you. Even forces that seem insurmountable bow before my sovereign authority. And I am ever present, never detached, never too busy, never distracted by something more important. My beloved child, I am with you in your tears and in your laughter, in your victories and in your defeats. I don't miss a single detail of your journey. Whenever you whisper a prayer, I hear it. Whenever you celebrate a milestone, I rejoice with you. This constant companionship is not conditional on your perfection or performance. I am near because that is who I am. Emmanuel, God with you. If you ever doubt my willingness to protect you, look to the stories passed down through generations. Recall those moments in the sacred texts where people faced armies, wild beasts, or raging storms, and I intervened at just the right time. These accounts are not relics of a bygone era. They are living testimonies of my unwavering commitment to preserve and guide those who trust in me. You may not face literal lions or raging seas, but the threats to your heart and well-being can feel just as formidable. Know that I stand ready to shield you, just as I shielded them. The promise is timeless, anchored in my steadfast character. So when you wonder how my shelter works, think of the fortress walls of old, unmovable, solid, and defiant against every foe. Reflect on my love, which remains constant in the face of your changing emotions. Consider my power, which is never diluted by any crisis you face. Finally, rest in my presence, which envelops you whether you are on the highest mountaintop or in the deepest valley. This is what it means for me to be your protector. You do not walk alone through the battlefield of life. I march before you, and I watch over your every step. Let me take you by the hand and show you how to practically step under my covering. When your mind is under siege by anxious thoughts, pause and acknowledge me. Even the simplest prayer, "I need you," bridges the gap between your fear and my reassurance. In that moment, you are choosing to enter my fortress. I designed you for this kind of intimacy, where you recognize that I am your primary source of hope. Rather than wrestling with your worries alone, lay them before me. Let me shoulder the weight you were never meant to carry. There are tangible ways to cultivate this habit of taking refuge in me daily. When you first open your eyes each morning, invite me into your day. Speak to me as you would to a closest friend. Share your plans, your concerns, and your gratitude. In that conversation, you are actively seeking my shelter before the demands of life rush in. As you go about your tasks, keep me in your thoughts. Whisper a word of thanks when you notice a small blessing, or ask for guidance when a decision weighs heavy on your heart. Each moment you remember my presence, you deepen your connection to the fortress that is ever available. I also encourage you to immerse yourself in the words of life I have given you. Through these sacred texts, your understanding of who I am grows, and your faith is fortified. When doubts creep in, turn to promises that speak of my protection and my unchanging nature. These truths act like the ramparts of an ancient city, buffering you from the lies that seek to infiltrate your mind. Likewise, find companions who share your pursuit of me, a community of hearts that will remind you of my faithfulness when you feel lost. Their encouragement, combined with my spirit working in and through you, forms a barrier against isolation and despair. Throughout your day, consider moments of silence or reflection where you offer your heart to me anew. Picture yourself stepping inside mighty walls, hearing them echo with my promise. You are safe here. Let your soul be nourished in that quiet space. Instead of suppressing your fears, place them in my hands. Instead of retreating in shame when you fail, run straight to me. I am not only your fortress, but also your loving Father who desires to see you grow in confidence and peace. In time, this practice of seeking refuge becomes second nature. Your reflex shifts from panic to prayer, from self-reliance to trust in my sustaining power. You will find that though the same challenges may knock at your door, they no longer have the same grip on your heart. That is the beauty of abiding in my shelter. The circumstances outside might remain daunting, but within these walls of my love, you discover a steady calm that transcends human understanding. Know that this invitation is open to you every second of every day. Let it transform your outlook, strengthen your spirit, and anchor your hope in the one who will never fail you. My beloved child, I want you to imagine yourself once again stepping into a sacred realm of promise and reassurance. Within these ancient words cherished by generations, you discover a tapestry woven with the threads of my heart for you. Many have found solace in these promises, whispering them through dark nights and challenging days. I invite you now to step closer, to listen not just with your ears, but with the very core of your being. Let me speak these words of life over you, phrases that reflect my endless commitment to protect, uphold, and guide you. When it is declared that the one who dwells in the secret place of the Most High abides under the shadow of the Almighty, it is not a mere figure of speech. It is an invitation into profound intimacy, a choice to live in my presence rather than remain outside of it. To dwell in my secret place means you consciously turn your heart toward me, seeking refuge in who I am. Think of a child resting under the wings of a protective parent, sheltered from wind and rain. In that same way, I offer shelter for your soul. The word secret here conveys privacy, exclusivity, and a closeness that the world often overlooks. It implies that there is a deeper dimension of safety within my presence, one that remains hidden from those who do not seek it with intentionality. Yet for you, who long for my covering, the doorway is always open. Inside you will find the quiet assurance that I am your unshakable foundation. As you read further, you see that I am described as a refuge and fortress. Consider the strength implied by these images. High walls, solid structures, an unbreachable haven. These words capture my unwavering resolve to guard you from dangers both seen and unseen. I am not simply a comforting thought. I am a living stronghold. Just as ancient watchtowers scanned the horizon for any sign of threat, so my eyes roam over your life, knowing your needs long before you speak them. In that protective space, fear loses its power to govern your decisions. The fortress of my presence transforms you, turning anxiety into confidence, because you understand who stands beside you. When you feel weary from the battles you face, remember that I am the fortress who welcomes you inside, where my peace silences every storm. Continuing through these promises, you find reassurance that no harm shall befall you. I ask you to trust this is not an empty guarantee of a life free from challenges. Rather, it is a profound assurance that, ultimately, your soul remains untouched by destruction. You may walk through adversity, you may face hardship, but I guard your spirit with the fierce devotion of a loving father. In seasons of difficulty, the enemy of your soul wants you to believe you are alone, abandoned, left without hope. But I counter with this promise. No harm shall truly overwhelm you, for my hand holds you steady. Even if circumstances appear bleak, my light still shines, guiding you through every valley. Do not equate hardship with my absence. Instead, let hardship be the impetus to press further into my shelter. When you read of pestilence, terror by night, and arrows by day, understand these are metaphors reflecting real crushing fears people have faced throughout history. In your modern reality, they could be financial upheavals, health struggles, or emotional burdens. Each represents a threat that looms over your sense of security. Yet here I speak directly to those fears, proclaiming my protection. I do not promise that storms will never arise. I promise they will not destroy you. When you cling to me, even the fiercest challenge finds its match in the power of my word. This psalm becomes your personal love letter from me, declaring that what the world calls impossible, remains entirely possible through my presence. Let these assurances soak into your heart until confidence in my might eclipses whatever troubles stand before you. Further on, you hear that angels are commanded concerning you, to keep you in all your ways. Understand, this is a vivid expression of my personal involvement in your life. I dispatch my ministering servants to watch over those who love me. Many times, you are unaware of the dangers I have already thwarted, the troubles I have redirected, or the burdens I have eased. The phrase, "in all your ways," underscores my comprehensive care. It spans your daily responsibilities, your relationships, your hidden battles of the mind. Know that my love is not reserved for a few special moments. It pervades every step you take. When you stumble, I lift you up. When you are exhausted, I carry you. When you feel outnumbered, I surround you with my heavenly guard. You need only to acknowledge my presence and walk in the confidence that I will never abandon you. Now let us reflect on how these promises intersect with the reality of your own heart. My love is unconditional, flowing toward you before you ever drew your first breath. Yet, the protective covering described here involves your willing trust. I do not impose my shelter against your will. To abide under my shadow requires that you draw near, that you choose to remain where my protection abounds. Think of it like stepping under an umbrella in the rain. The umbrella is there, but you must move beneath its canopy to stay dry. In the same way, you respond to my invitation by saying yes to my presence. That step of faith positions you where fear loses its hold, and my peace becomes your reality. This balance between my unconditional love and your response highlights how relationship operates. Love is poured out freely, yet to enjoy its benefits, you must engage with it. There is no place so dark that my light cannot penetrate, yet you must invite me into those hidden corners of your life. Do not let pride, shame, or skepticism keep you outside the shadow of the Almighty. The moment you acknowledge your dependence on me, my arms encircle you. So much of the harm that could befall you is deflected simply by your choice to remain within my care. This is not burdensome, it is liberating. You are not striving to earn my protection. You are resting in it, assured that I am the one fighting on your behalf. Throughout the unfolding story of my people, you will find echoes of the same themes celebrated in this psalm. Consider how I shielded a young shepherd from a giant's spear, how I shut the mouths of hungry lions, how I parted seas and calmed storms. These accounts, though ancient, are testimonies of my timeless faithfulness. They show that I have always been and will always be your defender. Time after time, those who placed their trust in me discovered that I was not a distant deity, but a personal, engaged, and proactive protector. When you see patterns of my deliverance woven throughout the sacred texts, realize that this psalm sits within a sweeping narrative of redemption. It is part of a grander tapestry that proclaims, I am for you, not against you. The accounts of miracles and rescues are not just relics of a bygone era. They are signposts pointing you toward the certainty that I remain the same. Even in circumstances that differ vastly from an ancient battlefield or lion's den, the principle remains. I step into your story when you invite me. I overshadow your fears with my peace, and I transform your trials into testimonies that shine my glory. My beloved child, Your life is yet another chapter in that living chronicle of deliverance. Every word you read here can become truth ignited in your own experience. My invitation is for you to dwell close, under my watchful eye, so that your own testimony will echo the countless stories of safety and victory I have penned throughout the ages. My beloved child, let me draw your attention to the story of a man who walked into what seemed like certain doom. He lived in a time when loyalty to me meant defying the demands of a powerful king. In that season of testing, he refused to abandon his devotion, even if it meant facing the jaws of fierce beasts. He stood with unwavering resolve, knowing that I, his God, would never forsake him. The night came when he was taken to a place of terror, surrounded by hungry lions whose roars echoed in the darkness. To an onlooker, this scene appeared hopeless. Yet in that very hour, I was present, shutting every hungry mouth. What mattered most was not the size of the threat, but the depth of his trust in me. In the hush of that den, where fear should have prevailed, my presence transformed a perilous cage into a holy place of safety. When the dawn broke, those who watched were astonished to find him untouched. He emerged with his faith intact and his spirit at peace, a testimony that I honor those who remain loyal, even when the price seems unbearable. Reflect on how his steadfast confidence applies to your life today. You may not encounter ferocious predators lurking nearby, but you do face trials that seem just as daunting. Perhaps it is an unyielding illness, a relationship fraught with tension, or looming uncertainty about your future. The lions in your story could be the voices of fear, anxiety, and discouragement that try to devour your hope. Yet I assure you that when you hold fast to my word, I intervene in ways beyond your imagination. The darkness around you cannot extinguish the light I shine. When storms rage and all escape routes appear blocked, trust that my hand is never too short to save. My power remains the same, and I delight in revealing my faithfulness to those who cling to me. Like that man who knelt to pray despite the threat of punishment, your devotion opens the door for my deliverance. Remember that I am the one who neutralized danger in an impossible situation, and I stand ready to do the same for you. Even if you're surrounded by despair, your faith in me can transform that fear-filled den into a chamber of miracles. Now look at the life of another whose story has inspired countless hearts. He was a shepherd boy who learned to trust me in quiet fields, long before he ever stood in the spotlight. When a giant threatened his people, he rose to meet the challenge with an audacity that baffled seasoned warriors. Armed with nothing more than a simple sling and an unshakable conviction in my power, he faced an adversary everyone else deemed unbeatable. Where others saw only defeat, he saw an opportunity for me to display my strength. With a single stone, propelled by faith rather than physical might, he toppled the looming figure that had terrorized an entire army. The victory belonged to me, yet it was accomplished through the willing heart of one who believed in the face of overwhelming odds. This moment marked the beginning of a journey where he would continually rely on my guidance through triumphs and heartbreaks alike. As time passed, he found himself hunted by a jealous king. Forced to flee, he hid in caves and wandered through deserts, never letting go of my promise. Even in hidden places where despair might have taken root, he chose to sing songs of trust that echoed his confidence in my unchanging care. These songs are preserved and have offered hope to generations seeking my protection. They speak of green pastures and still waters, of valleys that shadow death, and of cups that overflow. Each lyric is a testament to the reality that I am present both on the battlefield and in the secret, lonely stretches of life. When your own battles loom large, be they external conflicts or internal struggles, take heart in the same assurance that strengthened him. I am your shepherd, standing watch over you, leading you, restoring you. Perhaps your giant looks like debt, heartbreak, or a seemingly insurmountable goal. In that moment of confrontation, do not focus on the size of what threatens you. Focus on the magnitude of the one who fights for you. Remember the songs that echo from ancient times, reminding you that a humble spirit, paired with unwavering faith, triumphs over even the greatest obstacles. Your confidence in me aligns you with a lineage of victories that I have orchestrated throughout history. Lastly, consider another figure who served me wholeheartedly. He lived in a land where the rains had ceased, and famine spread across the nation. Day after day the sun blazed mercilessly, crops withered, and hope seemed to evaporate like dew at dawn. In a time when desperation overshadowed every household, I commanded him to hide by a small stream. There, in a most unlikely scenario, he experienced my supernatural provision. Birds brought him food, and the water sustained him, while the surrounding fields lay barren. It seemed impossible that he would survive in such isolation, yet I showed my power in remarkable ways. Once the stream dried, I sent him to a widow living on the edge of destitution. She had only a handful of flour and a little oil, enough for a final meal. Still, when she trusted the words he spoke from me, her supplies never ran out. Flour and oil kept replenishing miraculously. A daily reminder that no situation is beyond my reach. In another defining moment, this faithful servant confronted false prophets who led the people astray. He found himself standing alone against a multitude, challenging them to acknowledge my sovereignty. With unwavering obedience, he called on me, and fire descended from heaven. This event not only vindicated my name, but it also reaffirmed that even in times of collective doubt, I remain the source of true power. You too may experience seasons of drought, spiritual or otherwise, where all resources seem depleted. You might find yourself clinging to the last remnants of faith, wondering if tomorrow will bring any relief. Take courage from this story. I am still the God who provides. Just as I commanded nature and used humble instruments to bring about salvation, I can sustain you in the driest of places. When what you have seems insufficient, remember that I am the one who multiplies the little into abundance. If you feel alone, know that your faith can spark a flame that reveals my glory to all who witness it. My beloved child, never underestimate my willingness to care for you or the creative ways in which I can manifest my help. Whether you need physical provision or a renewal of spirit, I stand ready to pour out my mercy. Place your trust in me, and watch as I transform your desert into a place where hope thrives. My beloved child, I want you to know that my power is not confined to distant eras or ancient scrolls. Even in modern times, I continue to move in extraordinary ways, writing new chapters of grace in the lives of those who open their hearts to me. There are men and women who have tasted my intervention so vividly that no doubt remains in their minds. One dear soul once found herself driving on an empty highway late at night, exhausted from the pressures of her day. Her eyelids grew heavy, and in a single, careless moment, her vehicle veered off the road. In that instant, she felt a sudden surge of clarity and alertness, as if unseen hands steadied the steering wheel. When she finally pulled over, her heart pounded with the realization that she had been protected from what could have been a fatal accident. Another family recalls gathering around a hospital bed where doctors offered little hope for a loved one's recovery. They prayed earnestly, calling upon my name, and witnessed a turn in the medical condition that defied all explanations. Upon discharge, they left the hospital with grateful hearts, convinced they had been part of a miracle. Still another person overcame a severe addiction that had wreaked havoc on every aspect of life: relationships, finances, self-esteem. Through the unwavering support of others and a heartfelt cry for my help, they experienced a liberation that astonished those who had nearly given up hope. These stories remind you that my hand is never shortened. I work in the hidden crevices of despair, transforming impossible situations into testimonies of mercy and renewal. No matter how dire the circumstances, I delight in showing you that I remain the same, even in the hustle and bustle of the modern world. Every time you hear such an account, let it awaken your own faith. Let it confirm that my intervention is not for a select few, but for any heart that dares to believe in my ever-present power. Even so, the grand miracles aren't the only ways I reveal my protection. Many times, I manifest my care in subtle, everyday moments that can easily be overlooked if you're not paying attention. Think about the times a sudden delay kept you from being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Perhaps you hit unexpected traffic, grumbling at the inconvenience, yet later discovered that an accident had occurred on the very route you intended to take. Or maybe an intuitive sense warned you to check on a loved one, only to find them in urgent need of support. You might have noticed a random financial blessing arriving just in time to cover a pressing bill, preventing a crisis. These are not coincidences, my child. They are glimpses of my gentle hand at work, showing you that I care about the details that matter to you. Indeed, you needn't wait for a dramatic rescue to realize my presence is woven into your routine. When you pause to reflect, you'll see that my grace has spared you from countless dangers, be they physical harm, emotional pitfalls, or spiritual missteps. I encourage you to cultivate an awareness that sees beyond the surface of daily life. Look for my fingerprints in conversations, in the kindness of strangers, in the unexpected solutions to problems that weigh heavily on your mind. When you do, your heart will naturally become more grateful, recognizing that I am intimately involved, orchestrating moments of protection and favor even when you don't see them unfolding. This is how I long for you to live, with eyes open to wonder, assured that my vigilance never wavers, no matter how ordinary the circumstances may seem. If you're wondering why my hand remains so inconspicuous at times, remember that I often choose to work behind the scenes of your life, nudging events or people in ways that serve your greatest good. My beloved child, there is immense beauty in my hidden ways, for I desire that you walk by faith, trusting my heart even when you cannot trace my hand. The obvious miracles are powerful, but they are not the whole story. By learning to sense my subtle movements, you grow in intimacy with me. It's like noticing the gentle breeze that stirs a leaf on an otherwise still day. Quiet, almost imperceptible, yet undeniably real. You may long for thunderous signs and wonders, but do not overlook the deeper invitation I extend, to keep your spirit attuned to my whisper. Sometimes a single conversation at the right moment can become a lifeline, and a fleeting thought of caution can avert a serious mistake. These are my interventions, just as real as the parted seas of old. By attuning your heart to my voice, you become more receptive to the guidance I provide, which can alter your life's trajectory. As you cultivate this awareness, you'll begin to live with a quiet confidence, knowing you are neither alone nor vulnerable. Instead, you'll recognize yourself as a cherished child, enveloped by my perpetual care. The more grateful you are for the small signs, the more readily you'll perceive them in every season. I do not hide my face out of indifference. Rather, I invite you to search deeper, to notice, to be thankful, and thereby to see clearly that my loving oversight never fails. Even when the road seems winding, even when answers seem delayed, I am there, creating pathways of protection, weaving grace into every step you take. My beloved child, I see the silent storms that sometimes rage within you, worries that keep you awake in the stillness of the night, concerns about tomorrow that gnaw at your mind, and moments of anxiety that seem to surge unexpectedly in your day-to-day life. All these are reflections of fear taking root in your heart. Fear, by its nature, often begins as a whisper in your thoughts, a nagging sensation that something might go wrong. Yet it can quickly grow louder, influencing your decisions and dictating your responses to challenges. When fear tightens its grip, you may find yourself shrinking back from opportunities, doubting the gifts I have placed within you, and hesitating to move forward. In sacred scripture it is written that perfect love casts out fear. Understand that fear stands as a primary obstacle to trusting me wholeheartedly. It creeps in, distorting your perception of my goodness, leading you to believe that perhaps I am distant or unconcerned. But I long for you to see that fear does not have the final say over your destiny. My love does. Notice how the great heroes of faith encountered fear. Some trembled before battles, some felt weak in their calling, yet they chose to trust that I would not fail them. Fear, in essence, tries to undermine my promises by making you believe I will not be there. But I assure you, I am here, closer than your every breath. Recognizing fear's power is the first step toward defeating it, for once it is brought to the light, you can confront it with my truth. Let these words settle in your heart. I did not give you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. When you grasp that fear cannot thrive where my perfect love abounds, you begin to unlock a deeper freedom that transforms how you live. Let me guide you in replacing that fear with steadfast trust. First, cultivate the habit of turning to me when fear tugs at your heart. Rather than allowing anxious thoughts to spiral, call upon my name in prayer. Simply acknowledging my presence, saying, "Help me, I trust you," or "Show me your way," pivots your mind from worry toward assurance. As you open your heart in prayer, my spirit comforts you, reminding you that I stand with you in every situation. Scripture holds tremendous power to fortify your faith, so immerse yourself in my word. When you read stories of how I delivered those who called on me, you renew your conviction that I am the same today as I was in times of old. Each promise you encounter in the sacred text is an anchor for your soul, keeping you steady when waves of fear attempt to knock you down. Beyond private devotion, I encourage you to surround yourself with a supportive community, kindred spirits who share your pursuit of my presence. In fellowship, you find companions who remind you of my faithfulness when you feel uncertain. You lend courage to one another, celebrating testimonies of victory over fear and helping each other stand firm in moments of doubt. As you weave prayer, scripture, and godly relationships into your life, fear gradually loses its foothold. Your perspective shifts from focusing on problems to resting in my promise. Instead of letting worst-case scenarios consume your thoughts, you begin to anticipate my intervention with hopeful expectation. In this process, remember that trust is not a single act, but a continuous choice. Each day presents new challenges that might stir fear, yet each day offers fresh opportunities to lean on me. Little by little, you'll discover that even the scariest moments become encounters with my sustaining power. And you grow in confidence that nothing can truly harm you when you rest under my protective care. Now, let us pause for a moment of honest reflection. I invite you to bring your anxieties into my light, for what is hidden has the power to persist, but what is exposed can be healed. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of right now? Which circumstances or possibilities cast the longest shadows over my heart? Write them down, speak them aloud, or simply lay them before me in the quietness of your spirit. As you do this, consider how embracing my promise of protection can shift your emotional response. Understand that your fear might stem from past disappointments or present uncertainties. Yet know that I am the God who redeems and restores. The failures and losses you may have experienced are not prophetic indicators of your future. When you relinquish your anxieties to me, you free your heart to receive my peace. This act of surrender is an act of worship, for in it, you declare that I am able to guard what matters most to you. Notice how your body relaxes when you entrust your burdens to me. Feel how your soul breathes lighter, unencumbered by the weight of worry. In that moment, you move from a defensive posture of fear to an active posture of faith. Your perspective brightens, and you find yourself more attuned to my voice, which gently reminds you, I am your refuge. Come and rest in me. As you step forward, each day becomes a fresh opportunity to exchange the lies of fear for the truth of my unfailing protection. My beloved child, let your heart be persuaded that there is no fear I cannot overcome. Whether it's fear of rejection, fear of loss, or fear of the unknown, I invite you to see that my perfect love truly has the power to drive it out. In the quiet space of honest examination, let me replace trembling with trust, anxiety with assurance, and reluctance with a renewed boldness to walk in the fullness of life I designed for you. Embrace this promise, and watch how your heart finds rest in the knowledge that I am with you, now and always. My beloved child, I invite you to pause and examine the subtle currents that guide your life. Take a deep breath and let your heart open to honest reflection. Consider how often you rely on your own strengths and resources when faced with life's twists and turns. Do you lean upon my wisdom only after you've reached the end of your rope? Or do you invite me into the process from the very beginning? Are there moments where you trust in your own instincts more than you trust in my everlasting arms? Reflect on the times you felt overwhelmed. What drove you to that point? Was it a situation entirely out of your control, or was it the burden of trying to figure everything out on your own? I do not condemn you for your struggles, But I do long to show you that surrender is not a sign of failure, but rather a doorway to divine strength. As you ponder these questions, I encourage you to write down the fears or anxieties that frequently surface. Lay them plainly before me, whether on paper or in the quiet space of your soul. Let that act of vulnerability be your way of saying, I cannot carry these alone. You might be surprised at the peace that flows when you acknowledge both your limitations and my unlimited ability. The more you voice your concerns to me, the more your heart will learn the rhythm of resting in my presence. Even if you feel uncertain as you list your fears, remember that my compassion is drawn to every unspoken doubt. I do not grow weary of hearing your cries. In fact, I cherish each moment you turn to me in sincerity. I invite you now to delve deeper into the assurances found in Psalm 91. Take a moment to still your mind and open this sacred passage, allowing each line to resonate in your heart. As you read, notice the language of dwelling, abiding, and trusting. Picture yourself as one who steps into my shelter, not as a guest, but as a cherished resident who belongs here. If it helps, set aside time to journal your impressions of each verse. Perhaps you sense a phrase tugging at your heart. Pause there, and let me speak to you through it. In your writing, express any questions that arise, any hopes that these verses awaken within you. Feel free to be candid, even if you find yourself wrestling with doubt. Such honesty paves the way for genuine transformation. When Psalm 91 declares that I will command my angels concerning you, take a moment to imagine that heavenly care surrounding you. How does it feel to rest in that promise? To acknowledge that you are never beyond my reach? Reflect also on the times you have experienced provision or protection in ways you couldn't explain. By meditating on these verses, you give yourself the space to see your life through my eyes, remembering that my faithfulness did not end with the final words of Scripture. With every line, you welcome my spirit to guide you into a deeper understanding of my heart. Let the words become a personal conversation between us, shifting them from text on a page to a dynamic reality in your life. As you continue to explore what it means to trust me wholeheartedly, I encourage you to embrace a few simple but powerful practices in your daily routine. Upon waking, before you reach for your phone or plunge into your to-do list, whisper a prayer of gratitude, recognizing my presence beside you. This might be as brief as saying, "Thank you, Lord, for this day," or as expansive as sharing your hopes, concerns, and joys. By doing this, you align your heart with mine from the very start. Throughout the day, let short breath prayers guide you back to my peace. Inhale and say quietly in your spirit, "You are my refuge." Then exhale with the words, "I trust you." This rhythm can anchor you when stress tries to overtake your thoughts. Such a simple act invites me into the mundane and transforms those moments into sacred encounters. I also urge you to carve out specific times to be still, even if only for a few minutes. In that stillness, release your worries to me, visualizing them leaving your hands and resting in mine. Listen for the gentle nudge of my voice, whether through a thought, a verse, or a sense of calm enveloping you. Finally, seek fellowship with those who share your faith journey. Sharing testimonies of my protection and care will strengthen not only your own conviction, but also the resolve of those walking alongside you. Just as iron sharpens iron, a community of believers holds each other up in times of weakness and celebrates victories together. In these relationships, you learn to trust more deeply, knowing that you do not face life's storms alone. None of these practices are meant to be heavy burdens. Rather, they are invitations to cultivate a vibrant faith. A faith that stands firm against the winds of fear and doubt. They help you shift from a default posture of anxiety to a posture of restful confidence in my sovereignty. Trust is not something you muster up by sheer will. It grows as you commune with me, reflect on my promises, and walk out the truth you receive. Over time, your heart will recognize that in every circumstance, whether calm or chaotic, I am near, extending my protective presence. Consider these small steps as seeds planted in fertile soil. With consistent watering through prayer, scripture, and fellowship, these seeds of trust will grow into a towering tree whose roots dig deep, unshaken by the storms that inevitably come. My child, as you engage with these reflections, I am delighted by your willingness to grow. I see you wrestling with questions and pressing forward in hope. Know that I cherish every moment you choose to connect with me, whether through journaling, prayer, or stillness. Let this journey be less about striving for perfection and more about discovering what it truly means to abide in my love. Over time, you will find that trust becomes your natural response. Fear loses its grip, and your heart finds rest beneath the shadow of my wings. Each day will bring new challenges, but in every moment, you will have fresh opportunities to practice reliance on me. Rest assured, I am here, faithfully guiding each step you take, ready to fill your soul with a confidence that transcends circumstances. Together, let us continue the beautiful exchange of your anxieties for my peace, your uncertainties for my steadfast promises, and your faint hope for my unfailing deliverance. Embrace these reflections and let them shape the rhythm of your days, for I am ever eager to meet you in each moment of seeking, resting, and trusting. My beloved child, I want you to envision what it means to remain under my shadow each day, not as a fleeting moment of connection, but as the steady rhythm of your life. Picture my presence as a gentle canopy that moves with you wherever you go, offering a shade of protection against the scorching heat of fears and anxieties. When you choose to abide in me, you are not stepping into an abstract concept. You are stepping into a living relationship where your heart learns to beat in time with mine. This abiding is not reserved for Sundays or special occasions. It's the continuous awareness that I am nearer to you than your very breath. I walk beside you in your triumphs and cradle you in your sorrows, ever ready to shield you. Even in the mundane moments that seem void of spiritual depth, I am there, inviting you to lean into my strength. The deeper you dwell in my shelter, the more you realize that the storms outside do not determine the peace inside. My willingness to protect you is unwavering, and I take delight in being the safe haven your heart yearns for. I call you to trust that my love forms the unbreakable walls around you, allowing no harm to truly penetrate the sanctuary you find in me. Abiding under my shadow involves intentionally shifting your gaze from the noise of the world to the certainty of my nearness. It is a daily practice of letting your heart rest in my sovereignty, acknowledging that I reign over every detail of your life. When you sense yourself drifting into doubt, gently return your focus to the reality that I am mighty enough to bear your burdens. In this constant companionship, you learn to hear my whispers of guidance and comfort. My beloved child, Know that my shadow is not something you must beg for. It is freely offered. Your role is to remain within its boundary, choosing again and again to believe that I am your refuge. In moments of vulnerability, come to me. In moments of celebration, praise me. This abiding relationship flourishes as you tune your spirit to my heartbeat. As you dwell here, my protective love saturates your being, silencing every threat and reminding you that you are always held in the arms of the Almighty. Now let me show you how to turn your anxiety into an unbreakable assurance. The worries you carry are not trivial to me. I see how they trouble your spirit. But I invite you to exchange every anxious thought for an act of worship. Worship is more than songs or words. It is the posture of your heart, recognizing who I am in every circumstance. When fears arise, allow them to become prompts for prayer rather than pathways to panic. Whisper my name, reminding yourself that I am both your creator and your loving protector. By this simple act, you shift your focus from the size of your worries to the magnitude of my power. Little by little, anxious thoughts unravel in the light of my presence. Instead of filling your mind with what-if questions, fill it with my promises. Recall how I have carried you through past storms, and let that memory rekindle your trust. As you reorient your perspective from the problem to my faithfulness, you pave the way for my peace to envelop you. Cultivating this lifestyle of assurance requires consistent companionship with me. In our ongoing relationship, you will discover that the more you connect with my heart, the more your heart beats with hope instead of dread. When you read my word, see it not as a distant directive, but as an intimate letter from me to you, reassuring you that I am with you always. As you do, anxiety loses its grip, replaced by a deepening awareness of my loving governance over every detail of your life. Even in unforeseen challenges, you stand firm because your faith is anchored, not in fleeting emotions, but in the solid rock of my character. Let your worship be the daily declaration that I am good, I am near, and I am more than able. As you make this exchange, your worries for my worthiness, you become increasingly confident that nothing can separate you from my protective care. My beloved child, let go of the heavy cloak of anxiety and step into the radiant assurance of knowing you are cherished by the one who holds the universe in place. In that assurance, find rest, hope, and the unshakable conviction that you are eternally safe under my wings. My beloved child, as you reach the close of this message, let your heart pause to receive the gentle echo of all that has been spoken. You have journeyed through the promises of protection, seen through stories of old and testimonies of the present, and you have been reminded of my unchanging nature as your faithful refuge. Through every chapter, my voice has invited you to rest under the shelter of my wings and assured you that no harm shall truly befall you when you remain in my presence. Remember that this promise extends far beyond mere words. It calls you to a life shaped by trust, surrender, and daily companionship with me. I have spoken to you not as a distant figure, but as the one who knows you by name, who has seen your struggles and triumphs, and who longs to be your steadfast anchor in every storm. Now I beckon you to take practical steps that will turn these truths into your lived reality. Begin with prayer. Simple, honest conversation with me that invites my hand into every detail of your life. When you rise each morning, whisper your gratitude for a new day and your desire for my guidance. When fear surfaces, let it trigger an immediate turning of your heart toward me. Help me, Lord. Cover me with your peace. Cultivate a daily rhythm in my word, for Scripture is not only your source of wisdom, but also the foundation upon which faith flourishes. In those sacred texts, discover anew that I am the same God who rescued Daniel, strengthened David, and provided for Elijah. Then seek accountability in a loving community. Share your testimonies of my protection, be honest about your struggles, and allow others to walk alongside you. Offer the same encouragement in return, for in unity, your faith grows resilient, and your fears recede. Let this be the moment you consciously decide to trust in my protective power every single day. Choose to believe that the one who formed galaxies can also guard your heart against every threat and worry. You have heard my invitation. Now I call you to respond with an open heart, ready to experience my goodness in fresh, life-changing ways. My precious child, now I speak a blessing over you, a commissioning that flows straight from my heart. I see the path that stretches before you, the challenges, joys, uncertainties, and breakthroughs that form the tapestry of your life. Know this: I walk each step with you, guiding your feet when the road is unclear, lifting you when you stumble, and rejoicing with you when you triumph. I envelop you now in my unfailing love, a love that neither wavers nor diminishes, no matter what storms may arise. Rest your fears in my hands and receive my promise. I am your defender, the one who neither slumbers nor grows weary in safeguarding you. I bless you with courage to stand firm when the winds of adversity blow, and with wisdom to discern my voice above the noise of the world. I bless you with a peaceful spirit that stands undisturbed in the face of fear, for you are rooted in the one whose authority reaches across all creation. When trials attempt to shake your faith, recall my words of assurance. Let them be the light that dispels every shadow of doubt. May your heart remain soft, open to my leading, and quick to trust my intentions toward you. Even when you cannot see the full picture, know that I see it all, weaving every thread of your story into a testament of my goodness. I commission you to step into each day with confidence that is not built on your own abilities, but on the solid rock of my grace. You are not an afterthought in my kingdom. You are cherished, intended, and carried in the depths of my care. Let my mercy wash over your regrets, breathing new hope into places you thought were barren. Let my kindness shape how you love others, reflecting the warmth of my heart in all you do. As you walk forward, your faith will shine as a beacon for those who still wander in darkness, revealing the depth of my compassion and the reality of my sheltering power. Now receive my peace, the kind of peace that surpasses all understanding. Let it guard your mind from the onslaught of anxious thoughts, and let it strengthen your resolve to live each day in the embrace of my shadow. May your sleep be restful, your waking hours be purposeful, and your spirit be continually refreshed in my presence. Today and in all the days to come, remember that you are safe under the wings of the Almighty, that no harm shall ultimately prevail against you, and that my everlasting arms hold you securely. In this confidence, go forth, my beloved child. Walk the path laid out for you with the assurance that I have gone before you. I stand beside you, and I watch behind you. Indeed, my protective love surrounds you on every side. You are never alone, never abandoned. I am with you always, even to the very end of every storm, every trial, and every day's journey. Let your heart rejoice, for you dwell under the blessing of the Most High, now and forever. Amen.